So, healthy self trust is a massive part of having healthy self esteem, healthy relationships, healthy standards in your relationships, not sticking around for situations that make you put up with less than you deserve. And healthy self trust is a really important part of us feeling like we're in a healthy space in our day to day lives. But so many insecure attachment styles actually profoundly struggle with healthy self trust. So, in this video, we're going to talk about 5 key symptoms of struggling to trust yourself. And in a part 2 of this video, we will talk about what to do. So, the very first thing, and this is very common for a lot of insecurely attached styles, is number one, you may see somebody who struggles to trust themselves constantly second guessing their decisions. And when we trust ourselves, we don't just trust that, hey, this is probably the right decision because we're attuned to ourselves. We feel our own feelings. We've individuated and we feel an inherent sense of self confidence in our choices. But more importantly than that, we trust ourselves to be able to recover if we make an incorrect decision. See, trusting yourself does not mean trusting that you're going to make 100% good decisions 100% of the time. That's not possible. But when we trust ourselves, we also trust that, hey, if this wasn't the perfect decision, I can pivot, I can heal, I can change, I can recover, I can communicate, or I can fix this challenge in whatever way possible because I trust myself to be able to show up and do that. And so, what you'll see a lot of the time with people who really struggle to trust themselves is that they constantly struggle to trust their decisions, even to the point of like analysis paralysis and even fearing making a decision as a whole. Number two, people who struggle to trust themselves put other people's opinions of them and decisions for them often ahead of their own. And this can only ever lead to many challenges long term and frustrations. It is of the utmost importance that we learn to listen to our emotions as feedback, understand that our emotions are often giving us feedback about unmet needs we have in our lives. Or painful ideas that we have about ourselves that we're carrying subconsciously. And we have to listen to our emotions and actually solve for what emotions are giving us feedback on behalf of. So, for example, if I am trying to start a business, and let's say I'm working in a normal 9 to 5 job, and I'm like, I've always wanted to start a business. If I don't listen to my emotions and actually investigate like why I'm feeling negatively, why my emotions are giving me negative feelings, if I go, oh, I'm never going to start a business, I'll fail, and I start telling myself all these reasons why I can't do it, then I'm going to feel badly. And I'm going to think that me feeling badly means I can't start the business rather than just listening to my emotions as feedback, going inwards and being like, why do I feel badly? My emotions are communicating something to me. What might that be? And by listening to my emotions and trying to dig up those things, I am then empowered to question those stories. Do I really know for sure that I'm going to fail? Or is this just fear? Are these just old ideas I have about myself because maybe I saw people failing in my life growing up? Or maybe I failed at something in the past and I'm assigning this meaning that because I failed once before, I will fail at everything. So I won't get to know myself and my blind spots, my limiting beliefs, unless I actually use my emotions as the feedback that they are. And a lot of individuals who struggle to trust themselves, they're so busy just avoiding their emotions that they don't get to leverage that, which then leads them to being out of touch with themselves. And thus, the next step that happens is they just put people's opinions of them on a pedestal. And it's like, oh, so my parents know that I should stay in the job that makes me secure and work here forever and retire just like they did. That's fine if that's what you want to do. If that comes from listening to yourself, listening to your emotions, really introspecting, and then deciding that that's your truth. But if you are instead putting people's opinions above you because you're not listening to yourself and in touch with yourself, then you may be living your divine, precious life for somebody else's opinions of you. And that will cause you to live incongruently and inauthentically. And that will cause you to feel resentful, lost, frustrated, and many other different feelings longer term that are there also prodding you to pay attention. So you can be like, oh, I feel badly because I'm not living authentically. I have to start listening to myself, paying attention, and making changes. Number three, caring too much about what people think of you. When you aren't individuated and you aren't in a place where you are really listening to yourself and know your truth, like what your needs are, designing your life according to that, building a mission and a vision for your life and what matters to you. When you're not doing these things, you know what happens instead? You start ruminating about everybody else's opinions outside of you because you're getting your sense of self and identity from the outside in. So you're chasing approval all day long and worrying about what people think of you on the outside instead of actually listening to yourself, introspecting, knowing who you are, knowing what lights you up, living congruently with that, which when you do that, people's opinions lose their weight. Yes, sure, they can affect you to a certain degree from time to time, but nothing like nothing compared to when somebody is um, making their choices in their life because of seeking approval or avoiding being disliked or fearing saying or doing the wrong thing from other people's points of view. And this is part of why individuation is so important because it builds this inherent sense of self and self-esteem. And individuation builds self-trust. By the way, if you want to do a deep dive, you can use the link below to check out 2 courses for free for the next 7 days. Our trust course, where we talk all about repairing self-trust, and also um, our course all about individuation, learning to introspect and develop who you are in the areas of life where you may feel like your growth is stunted or stagnated. And it gives you exactly the tools and the action steps you need to move the needle on that. So again, you can use that link below and check those out for free for 7 days. Number four, invalidating your emotions and your experiences. Like, going, oh, well, Bob told me that I should feel this way. So I must be wrong. My feelings must be wrong. If you're invalidating your own emotions, again, you're trying to get your sense of like what I should feel from the outside instead of listening to yourself, being considerate of yourself. Really considering your feelings, your needs, your boundaries. And if you struggle with those things and taking yourself into consideration, this is one of the biggest components of trust. So it's a great way to really shatter trust in the relationship with ourselves if we're not showing up and doing that work. So if you struggle to consider yourself in terms of feelings, needs, boundaries, pretty much a guarantee that you're struggling with self-trust as a whole. So I have some exciting news, which is that we are doing $1,000 off of our lifetime membership sale to the Personal Development School, which means you get access to literally everything at PDS for your entire rest of your life. Essentially, that entails all of our different courses you have lifetime access to. I do 4 live webinars a week, every single week. You can access them ongoing, and you get access to all of our daily community events. So I'd love to see you on the other side, and you can access it by using the link in the description box below. And last but not least, if you are not sure of what's going on inside of yourself on a regular basis, you probably also struggle with self-trust because a lot of self-trust comes from context. Us having context like, oh, I did this thing because I was feeling this way. One of the things you see, for example, with people with anxiety is people with anxiety, they don't usually have context for why they're feeling anxious because they're not like introspecting a lot. And I am not saying, by the way, that this is the only cause of anxiety. There are definitely other reasons, but it can definitely be related to core wounds, unmet needs, and how these things produce a lack of context. There can also be diet and gut health issues and things along those lines as well. But one common theme in the majority of people with anxiety that I've seen is that they're truly in a place where they are not able to like understand their feelings or their needs. So they end up living incongruently and they don't have context for why they feel bad. And people with anxiety in this space, they don't know why they feel bad. So then they become anxious about being anxious. And it just leads to this like vicious cycle or this sort of like snowball effect of anxiety. And when we learn about why we're feeling the way we're feeling, when we dive deep, we introspect within ourselves and we find context, we're like, oh, I'm feeling badly because I have this huge unmet need in my life over here. So that makes sense. And it creates relief, and context actually gives us a sense of certainty. And so when we are in a position where we don't have context for things and we're not able to live congruently, we're essentially betraying ourselves on autopilot. And that will also really harm our self-trust. So these are 5 really important things to consider. Again, if you want to do a much deeper dive into repairing self-trust, check out our trust course that talks a lot about self-trust down below, or that individuation course for like building a strong sense of self-confidence and learning to make decisions in alignment with you, who you truly are through introspection, self consideration, and being able to then make strong and decisive decisions as a result. So I hope this makes sense. I hope you enjoyed this video. I put daily content out here on YouTube literally every single day. So if you don't want to miss any of it, we talk about integrated attachment theory, the subconscious mind, trust, boundaries, needs, emotions, how to emotionally regulate, all this stuff. And so if you are interested, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell below, and then you won't miss any daily videos. See you in the next one.